We knew this was coming. We knew this was coming. Your boy Smitty told you Alvin Kamara was going to probably skate by via the legal system or in combination with the NFL. And we don't know what the NFL's decision is yet, but let's get to the breaking news. Alvin Kamara faces no felony charges. He's facing community service, and he's paying $100,000 to the alleged victim for medical expenses. And again, this was not civil. Civil's probably next. Civil will be where the money's at. There's no settlement in this sort of situation. This was not a settlement situation. But Alvin Kamara, as we talked about, Tony, the attorney, came on. No one's talked about this like we have. No one's had attorneys on to discuss Alvin Kamara like we have. We've been doing this all offseason long. And as we predicted, as Tony the Tiger talked about, there is a lesser charge in all of this that Alvin Kamara has pleaded no contest to. Not guilty to, no contest to. And that lesser charge is a breach of peace for involvement in the 2022 fight in Las Vegas. So it's a no contest plea to a misdemeanor charge of breach of peace, meaning that the NFL has a very, very, very small chance of doing something significant because all they can do is suspend upon the optics. The NFL, here's the report from ESPN. Saints Kamara agrees to plead no contest to lesser charge, which is what we predicted all along. This is the NFL's policy. According to the league policy, it's not enough simply to avoid being found guilty of a crime. We are all held to a higher standard and must conduct ourselves in a way that is responsible, promotes the values of the NFL, and is lawful. Players convicted of a crime or subject to disposition of a criminal proceeding are subject to discipline, meaning that you're most certainly going to see the NFL do something. But what can they really do when this is a breach of peace misdemeanor? This is not a felony situation at all. The NFL is looking at a 1 to 4 game suspension. I would guess at most. We don't know. It could be a 4 to 6. You never know what the NFL can do, but I predict it's going to be a 1 to 4 game suspension. As we've said all along, as your boy said constantly, as much as I despise drafting this man because of what he did, because I'm against what he did, I came out before anybody did and said this man should be suspended for the season when the video released and surfaced. But this is a business. This isn't a revolving door of what do we do here? How do we win here? What is the best pick here? How much risk is here? What can we do here? Now we're sitting here looking at Alvin Kamara playing for you in 2023, much more than you ever anticipated. And this is why we drafted him. Blind Larry's saying he told me. Blind Larry, you didn't tell anybody. I've been saying this the entire time, but I do appreciate you. The Fantasy Football Show begins now.
FantasyFootballShow.com studios.
It's the Fantasy Football Show.
Live! Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern.
From the FantasyFootballShow.com news desk, here is your breaking news.
So, this news is quite a doozy for a lot of people that were anticipating and hoping and essentially just betting against Kamara being available for a significant portion of the season. But this is what we knew it was going to happen, and this is why we talked about this literally over and over and over, and why you've seen your boy Smitty get more exposure to Alvin Kamara than really anybody in the 2023 best ball season. I have so many Alvin Kamara shares. I literally draft him so much. Ron Navy and everybody in here makes fun of me because I continue to draft this man in the 7th, 8th, 9th round, sometimes later, sometimes right in the middle. But now he's going to climb up ADP boards and skyrocket up ADP boards. But your boy has completely saturated all of his teams with him. Kamara and 3 other men were initially facing misdemeanor charges for conspiracy to commit battery and a felony charge of battery with substantial bodily harm. Kamara is no longer facing felony charges after accepting a plea deal, his attorney confirmed on Tuesday. Kamara will do community service and pay the alleged victim in the fight $100,000 for medical bills. Again, this is not a settlement. This is not a settlement. This is not a settlement. You don't settle in criminal. You don't settle in criminal. This is not a civil situation. Civil will probably follow. This man will probably sue Kamara in civil and probably win, because to win in civil is much easier to win than in criminal. Civil's easy. Like, that guy's going to go after Kamara and get a bag. This right here, $100K, was for the medical bills, and that was really the decision that both sides had to agree upon, is what can be won in court. How long do you want to drag this out? What are the costs going to be for this individual to go forward, and can he get something here and then take it to civil? He's playing 2023, people, just like we've been telling you over and over and over and over and over. Okay, so now we got to decide. Kamara will. Where's that other piece of news? I had it somewhere. Where's his ADP going to go now? How high is this man going to climb now? I've got him in 7th, 8th, 9th round over and over and over and over, attached to Kendre Miller, and that is still a very vital part. You need to attach him to Kendre Miller. You have to. It is a must, because there's a chance maybe he even drops off in talent. I mean, if you watch the film last year, he didn't look like he dropped off. They didn't use him fully. They started rotating people in at on 3rd downs and taking away some of his reception work, which was weird and odd, and it didn't really justify it didn't really make sense, because he looked the part. He still looked like he was pulling in passes well. He still looked quick. He still looked agile. He still looked shifty. But they just started, easing back the Alvin Kamara usage in weird ways. But I don't know that we can draw too many conclusions upon this. I don't think we can draw too many conclusions about 2022's finish to determine whether Kamara is going to pop off in 2023. Now, there's still a very strong chance he starts out the season suspended. 1 to 4 games, probably more like 1, 2, or 3. Taking a plea means admitting guilt to a lesser charge. No, it doesn't. Jeremy, you're incorrect. He pleaded no contest. He pleaded no contest. That's what a lot of people are going to report. A lot of people are going to falsely report on this. He pleaded no contest, which the league deems as worthy of discipline. Being in this situation in general is worthy of discipline, but Alvin Kamara pleaded no contest to the lesser charge, Jeremy. So it's a big difference than to plead guilty. There are some reports out there that said he pleaded guilty. He didn't plead guilty. He pleaded no contest. Big difference. It's sort of like not admitting guilt, but admitting that you're coming to a conclusion, and there's different levels of it. No, it's not the same thing, Jeremy W. It's not at all the same thing. But appreciate you being here anyway. But thank you. I'll handle this. Hold my... go get me a coffee! Jeremy W., go get me a coffee! So, phone lines will be open. Dial in if you guys would love to discuss his ADP value, where you would take him. Some of you are going to say, I refuse to take him, Smitty. I won't take a man that did such a thing. And I respect that, to be honest. I actually envy it. I wish I could do that, but I don't play that game. I play the game of fantasy football. I play the game of content creation, and I'm supposed to guide you into a situation of winning, okay? So you can't expect me to take the high road here and say, I'm not drafting him. My job is to help you win. And Alvin Kamara has been one of my biggest recommendations all offseason long, getting this man in the 7th, 8th, and 9th round, Joe. Joe's live.
What's up, Smitty?
What's up, man?
Nothing much. Yeah, so my thing wasn't really for the Kamara news. I just wanted to let you know, I don't know if you saw, but the owner of the Colts said that Richardson.
Yeah, bro. We'll get to that in a second. We're in the middle of Alvin Kamara news. Kamara news. Okay, hurry up. Go ahead.
No, that's it. I was just letting you know if you didn't know it.
Yeah.
Because I was waiting for you to break the news on that.
Yeah. Well, don't worry. We'll get to that. Appreciate that.
Yeah,
What do you
okay.
think about Kamara? Where is he going now?
I think he's going to move up at least 2 rounds.
At least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he might go in the back half of the second or beginning of the third.
Yeah. Let me hang tight. Let me read this off. Okay, so New Orleans Saints running back Alvin Kamara has agreed to plead no contest, not guilty, Jeremy. Big difference, pal. No contest to a misdemeanor charge for breach of peace. Breach of peace. Community service. Go pour some soup. Go put some muffins on a tray. Go pick up some trash on the freeway for about 30 minutes, will you? Okay, thank you for your community service. Breach of peace. This is what I'm telling you. He's gonna skate by, and some of you didn't want to draft this man out of principle, which I respect and again partly envy. But did anybody think? Look at this man's smile. Look at the smile on his face. Did anybody think he was going away based on this? The NFL doesn't work that way. The legal system doesn't work that way with athletes. So it's like, okay, New Orleans Saints running back Alvin Kamara has agreed to plead no contest to misdemeanor charge of breach of peace for his involvement in the fight in Las Vegas. Kamara and 3 other men were initially facing misdemeanor charges on conspiracy to commit battery, which was the lesser charge. And even when Tony the attorney came on, and no one breaks this down like we do. We have attorneys on the show. That break this stuff down. And even Tony the Tiger said of these 2 charges here, he's probably going to try and plea no contest or guilty to the lesser charge, which is the so there's the misdemeanor charge of conspiracy to commit battery. That was what Tony predicted he would probably commit plead guilty or no contest to, instead of trying to work around the felony charge of battery with substantial bodily harm. This one's even lighter. This one is even lighter. This is a misdemeanor of breach of the peace. And to the letter of the law, the NFL is going to come down with a 1 to 2 game suspension. Now, if they look at the optics of it, if they look at everything else that's going on, they might certainly say we have to give them a 2 to 4 game suspension on this one. But if anybody's really paying attention, what does the NFL care about? What do they care about? The NFL cares about money. That's all they care about. And what did Roger Goodell and his minion that he assigned decision making in the Deshaun Watson situation, what did he and his minion decide? That he would have that he'd have Deshaun Watson return during the Cleveland Browns versus Houston Texan game. That's what he decided. That was what was important to Roger Goodell. Let's have Deshaun Watson only be suspended right up until the Houston game so he can play his former team and we can get ratings and money. If you can't see through Roger Goodell with that suspension that was handed down based around the matchup between the Cleveland Browns and the Houston Texans, you're blind. You're blind to the NFL doing what they want, when they want, how they want for the dollar. Okay? So if anybody thinks this guy won't be suspended 4 games, will be suspended 4 games, we still don't know. We don't know exactly what they're going to do, but they will cater to themselves. They will cater to the machine. And if 2 to 4 games doesn't affect them, they're like, hey, this is the Saints. Who cares? Let's give them 4. We don't know what the NFL's thinking, but the NFL will do what they want, how they want, when they want. There are absolutely no felony charges. 1 to 2 game suspension, 2 to 4 game suspension. No one knows. The optics are still bad. They still have the ability and right as per policy right here. As per policy. So if anybody thinks he's getting no games Probably not likely. It's possible, but probably not likely. It's enough to. It's not enough simply to avoid being found guilty of a crime. We are held to a higher standard and must conduct ourselves in a way that is responsible, promotes the values of the NFL, and is lawful. Players convicted of a crime or subject to disposition of a criminal proceeding are subject to discipline. So let's get that out of the way. I know Speedy says no suspension. The felony charges are not there, so no suspension. Not accurate. Not accurate, Speedy. You don't know. The answer is a lot of you are running your mouth. A lot of you like Jeremy and Speedy, come in here. You let me take care of it. Jeremy and Speedy, go get me a coffee. Okay? Let me handle this. Hold my mallet. Hold my beer. Hold my mallet. I got food out there. I was in the middle of getting food, per usual, when this stuff breaks. What's B? Look at Bijan. Bijan running back 1. Wrong screen, but I love seeing that. Let's look at that one more time. Bijan running back 1. That's what
Mashed potatoes.
You let me handle this, Speedy. I got it. Okay? Mr. B with the $4.99 hauler. If Kamara gets suspended, wouldn't it be some combo of Jamal Williams and Kendre Miller and Taysom Hill first couple of games? Kendre, good long play though. Yes. I agree with this 100%. I think they definitely want, Kendre to get involved, but Jamal could be leaned on. Taysom Hill could be ultra activated. They've been moving Taysom Hill all over the field, so definitely feel like, there's upside here. Jamal Williams to the moon. I don't know why you come in here, no offense, my boy, Yehuda. But why would Jamal all of a sudden, why would today be Jamal Williams to the moon day? I don't understand that. I appreciate you. I love your comment. I appreciate you being here. Love the tie. But how are we sending Jamal Williams to the moon the day you find out that things just got a whole lot worse? I'm not following that, but I appreciate you being here. Anyway, appreciate you all. If Kamara gets suspended, wouldn't he see? Okay, got that super chat out of the way. I think there was another one. Appreciate that super chat there, B-Man. My man, B-Man. The myth, the legend. Boys, we're looking at Alvin Kamara playing a significant amount of games as predicted. We're looking at your boy Smitty's shares exposure on Underdog, lighting fire on the early contests. The question's going to be, though, where does his value skyrocket to? Because if we look at, let's say, a board here, let's take a gander at a board and let's find Alvin Kamara. Let's put Alvin Kamara on this board. Currently, he's been going in the 7, 8, 9 round territory. This is where he's been lingering. Okay, we've been stealing him away like taking candy from a baby. That time is done. That time is done. That has come to a close. The question is, will he climb into this or this territory? I wouldn't be surprised. I think it's crazy if he goes anywhere in like the 2-3 area, but could he go in 4? Absolutely. Could he go in 5? Absolutely. Could he climb to just 6 for a while and slowly push up to 5? Sure. But if anybody thinks he won't show up in round 4, where J.K. Dobbins is like right here, Alexander Madison's right here, if you guys think that Alvin Kamara won't show up in 4 or 5, on the assumption that he will get a very small amount of games in terms of his suspension, 1 to 4, let's call it. Let's just be conservative and say 1 to 4. Let's say the NFL is going to be like, hey, the optics are bad. You're held to a higher standard. Let's go ahead and give you a 3-game suspension, whatever. That would put him in a territory like, if you think about, like, what if Barkley got a 3-game suspension? He's going in 2. He's no longer going in 2 or 3 anymore if he's missing 3 games. He falls to like 3, 4. Some people are excited about it. Some people aren't. Depends if it's best ball and redraft. So you can't picture a guy, Kamara, who dropped off in some people's eyes, climbing to 3 or 4 if Barkley would fall from 2 to 3. But people are weird. People are fickle. Psychology and fantasy football is what I do. And I'm telling you, there's something about the climb that's different than the fall. Because and I keep using Barkley, forgive me for using you. You're a model citizen. You wouldn't do a single thing wrong. But if Barkley, who's going right around here, was suspended for 3 games, he would most certainly fall out of round 2. We just don't know where he'd fall. The question is, will Kamara climb more than Barkley would fall in this comparison to give you an idea of how fickle people are and how people will enjoy the climb much more than the fall. And I just don't know. I don't know. You don't know. No one knows if he climbs into 4, stays in 5, stays in 6. But I'll tell you that where I'm comfortable drafting him is easily in 5 or 6. I would say better 6 than 5. If he climbs to 5, we can assess it and take it and play it by ear. But curious to know where you all think you would draft him, not knowing the amount of games yet. 3-game suspension video is out there. Says, I don't know how to say your name, bro. Appreciate you. I'm in a draft trying to get him at the back of the 8th. Bro, good luck. Appreciate you. I can see Kamara at 4th or 5th round, says Speedy. I just took him. Okay. Let's see here. Blind Larry's going crazy in the chat right now. I'm trying to take, no offense, Blind Larry, but you're trying to take credit for something we talked about for ages. I mean, maybe some other people in the chat have, but it's not me. You and everybody, this is all capital letters from Blind Larry. Hold on, let's read this out loud. Blind Larry, everyone's here. They I don't know why you're saying this. Everyone knows what I've been saying about Kamara. I've been drafting him in every draft, Blind Larry.
Blind Larry Smitty, you and everybody were saying he was getting a felony charge jail time, and I got bashed because I said it was a misdemeanor, so I did tell you, grinning face with smiling nice face rolling on the floor laughing.
Blind Larry, I don't know where you're suggesting that I didn't talk about. I had an attorney on, Blind Larry, where we said he could plead to the lesser charge and try and, I don't know what you're talking about. I literally talk about this Blind Larry, I hate to do this, Blind Larry. I hate to do this, pal. I hate to do it. But give me a coffee and take a lap. Everybody's got to take their licks and their laps, Blind Larry, but you're out of your lane right now because everyone here has constantly seen me go all in on Kamara. So I don't know what you're talking about. Anyway. Let's move on from that. Blind Larry's just going nuts in the chat. Thinks that he called this. I don't understand. Blind Larry, I don't understand. It's true if you think Kamara is a bum. I would definitely... it's not nice, Jason. We need... Oh, Bruce is on the phone. Bruce, you're live. I'm sorry, bro.
Hey, Smitty.
What's up, Bruce?
That's all right.
How many
question is...
How many shares of Alvin... First of all, how many shares of Alvin Kamara do you have?
Like 3. Because I only had 3 drafts before my next 2.
Okay. What's up?
So, my question is, well, hopefully, do you think he should be suspended more than Jamison Williams?
I do. I mean, I've made it very, very, very clear that I think Kamara should be suspended for the season.
Yeah, so you have the same opinion as me.
Yeah, but does that mean I won't draft him? Does that mean I won't clean up in fantasy football because I know how the world works? Does that mean I won't clean up in fantasy football because I know how the NFL works? You know, I know how this works. I know what's going to happen because the NFL is not going to do jack shit. And I know that the legal system in terms of athletes is rigged, you know. And you could say that another individual may have skated by on this too, but I highly doubt it because this guy has access to the best legal minds in the world. So that's where part of that comes from. It doesn't just come from him being high profile. It comes from him being high profile and being able to get somebody that's going to come in here and do something that another attorney wouldn't know how to do. He's got eyeballs all over this thing. And so it's easier for him to skate by because of his access. That's really mostly what is the advantage for a high profile guy. So, you know, I think that it was easy to see coming though. You know, like a lot of people said, Smitty, if he gets suspended for the year, it's going to look silly because you're drafting him everywhere, and he's on the Uranus list. I mean.
And off he goes to the planet known as Uranus.
He's on planet Uranus, and I've never taken him off. I never wanted to take him off. I never planned to take him off. I still will not take him off. But he was a guy that I drafted everywhere. My exposure, he's in my top 5, top 6 exposure across every single series of underdog drafts. Pomeranians, every draft, every single series of drafts. The big board, the best ball mania, everything has Kamara in my top 5. And it has Kendre Miller too, because it's a very important point. You need to cuff the two, because if he drops off, Kendre Miller is free. He's practically free, Kendre Miller, and you can cuff him to Kamara. The combo is deadly. The combo is a running back 2 potentially that you're getting, or you were getting, in the 8th, 9th round for Kamara. Kendre Miller a little later. You are basically getting your running back 2 at the cost of 9th and 10th and 11th round picks. It was madness. And Jamal Williams is a little, wrench in the situation potentially, because what if he took over and you had no starter? But it's a risk I'm willing to take at 9th and 10th and 11th round values, Brucey. Kamara's winning leagues. Yeah. If he has anything, if he resembles anything close to his former self, for the season, he will win you leagues in round 8, 9, 10. The question is, where does he climb now? Where does he climb now? I don't know. No one knows. We can guess, Bruce, but my guess is 5-4-5. I think he climbs to 4-5. Again, my example of if Barkley were in trouble, which he wouldn't be. He's a model citizen. He's an absolute gem. But if he was to get in trouble and get suspended, let's say 3 games, he would fall out of round 2. He'd have to, because he's in round 2 now. Kamara is not anything of the prospect of Barkley. If, let's say, all things were equal and they walked in with no troubles, he was already like a concern for people. So he would have been a 3rd, 4th rounder anyway, had there been no legal troubles whatsoever. And let's say the legal stuff concluded last year, he got suspended for 1 game, is all in the rear view. He played the whole year and ended the way he ended. He would be in the 3rd or 4th round. There'd be a lot of people saying, hey, he could, bounce back. I'm really excited. I think that they misused him. He was a lot going on in his head. He's going to come back strong. He would go in 3-4. So if Barkley's going in 2, and if he got suspended, would drop into 3, maybe 4, I have to imagine that if Kamara were not suspended, he'd go 3-4 and drop into 5 or so. The problem is, like I said, people are very fickle and they're different. The psychology behind this is crazy. If you try to analyze somebody's inflated expectations versus deflated expectations, this guy's going in 7-8, and the news is good. Instead of climbing to where he probably should go, if he was suspended, if he was here without a suspension, then got the suspension, would fall here, he might climb a whole half a round to a round ahead of where he would have gone, because that's the way people react. So,
and that's the thing I have is, you don't even know how long he's suspended yet. He's going up. You know what I'm saying?
That's the window of time we have to maybe still get him at a discount, or maybe not. I don't know, because I think the uncertainty about the number of games, there will still be a lot of people that are anti-Kamara that will be speaking from a personal, offended, standing on principles perspective. And I appreciate and applaud those people. In fact, let's give a standing ovation for anybody that would literally not draft him out of principle. I can't play that game. I
couldn't either.
I can't play that game. First of all, I don't want to play that game. No offense. Like, for right and wrong, no offense. But I don't want to play that game. I'd rather just, play the game that's in front of me and win. But even if I could, I can't, because I run a show where I got to help you guys win, and Kamara can help you win. Just like I've been preaching all off season long.
Yeah, just like when you were preaching 8-9, I was always getting them in the 9th round.
Bro, that's why I don't understand what Blind Larry's... Blind Larry, you're my boy. Don't get all upset at me, but I don't understand what you're saying in the chat. He's like in capital letters saying, I told you, Smitty! I told you, Smitty! It never fails. It never fails. What can I do? Let me guess. When Bijan's the number 1 running back in fantasy football, someone's going to come in here and say, Smitty, I told you all along that this was going to happen, Smitty. What's up? What's up, Ron Navy?
And another question. Oh, yeah, Ron.
Ron Navy.
Yeah.
So,
Hey.
how we feeling, Ron? I imagine you are one of the individuals, which, again, I gave a standing ovation to. If you're, like, out of principle, I'm still not touching them. But what are you thinking right now from the perspective you had earlier, which was that, you know, I don't want to touch him. I'm not drafting him. Would you take him now? What do you? How many games do you think he gets? This is a ridiculous plea. It's not even.
Problem.
You what?
No, I'm not taking him.
Okay.
I'm not taking him.
Well, you know, can we give Ron a standing ovation real quick? Out of principle, he still won't draft him, and I respect it. I won't play that game myself, but I'll at least.
But
I respect it, Ron.
I respect it, but go ahead.
here's the thing: Kamara was when he played, he was junked last year. He's going to be junked this year. I don't think even if he does play, even if the NFL says, okay, we're not giving you any suspension, which just could happen because nothing happens there. Just like in Vegas, everything goes away and the crime is crazy there. So when you go there, watch out at night because they're attacking people with cameras and they're vlogging and all that other stuff. I don't know if you're aware of that, but they've had a couple people, different casinos. One person got stabbed, another person, they walked right in the casino and shot people. So you be careful when you go there, please.
Your boy.
They don't want to put the casinos' names in the news, so they're just hushing it. But
Ron, I got Denny as my bodyguard in Vegas. I'm gonna be fine. He's gonna.
You were gonna. You
Denny.
stop my trip from Vegas. I ain't going.
I'm gonna have Denny going. Smitty, Alpha Smitty's on the move, and then that's gonna be the beginning of the day. And then by the end of the day, Denny's gonna wander off during my detail, and somebody's gonna be coming around the corner to tackle Smitty, and I'm gonna look for Denny, and Denny's gone. Smitty's he's over at the craps table. Smitty's zipping it over there.
It's really not a surprise though. But I don't see Kamara. I think running back like Brian Robinson's gonna have a great year over Kamara. I don't see Kamara having a great year at all.
I can appreciate the take. It's not a take that, like, to be honest, Ron, there's still very much risk involved, but it was risk worth taking. I don't really know. I don't know yet how I'm going to assess and digest his ADP movement. So people need to be very, very understanding to that. What comes next is very different than what we've been enduring. What we've been doing is taking great advantage, or at least some people have, of grabbing Kamara in round 7, 8, 9, and stealing him away in a place where, let's say Ron's right, he comes out, looks crappy anyway, it doesn't lose you a league at all. And my big thing is cuffing Kamara to Kendre. So if you have the combination, you're probably okay. Jamal could throw a wrench in that, like I said, but it's a gamble worth taking in 8, 9, 10 round territory combined, because this could be an elite running back too. If Ron's right and he doesn't do well, let's say, which I don't necessarily agree with, but if Ron is right on that in that respect, what point does he now become, does the risk outweigh the reward, because he could be suspended, especially now. If we find out it's a 2-game suspension, then we got to come in again and reassess the risk versus reward and all that. But right now, there's the ambiguous suspension length, which could be 4 games still. It could be 1 game. It could be no games. It probably will be something because of what I just read to you, the NFL policy, the optics behind this, the fact that a lot of people are going to maybe say that he skated by. But at the same time, no one's talking about this. I'm the only one. Every single time news breaks, I come live and I break it. When the first video was released, the bad choppy copy, I went live. No one else did. No one else cared. When the second video was released, the more clear version, and then the limousine ride footage, or the Uber ride footage, or whatever the hell it was, I think it was a limo or something. Did anybody else
Limousine
go
ride like Ric Flair?
Yeah, did anybody else go live? Nobody did. Nobody cares. It's weird that the fantasy industry doesn't care. Like, no one's even talking about it. So I don't know that anybody's going to make waves if the NFL glosses over this and says, give them a 1-game suspension. But to the letter of the law, the fact that this is such a minor, on paper, it's a minor charge. This is a ridiculous charge. Kamara has agreed to plead no contest, which is not admitting guilt, to a misdemeanor charge for breach of the peace. This would be like if the equivalent of breach of the peace would be like going out with my megaphone at 11 p.m. at night going, take a lap, take a lap, take a lap, take a lap, in rich neighborhoods, and the police come by and they cite me for breaching the peace. Like, that's essentially what the feel is here. Like, that's the kick in the nuts to the situation, that you can get beat down, and the way this guy got beat down, have limousine footage of you laughing with your buddy, saying, I connected on his face so hard, and you can't do that, Kamara. You can't do that. Remember Kamara's buddy said in the limo, you can't do that, Alvin. You can't. And he said, you know me, though. You know me, though. I think I'm paraphrasing, but I'm pretty sure that was like almost the exact tone or phrase that he said to a degree, was like, yeah, but you know me. You know, I'm not going to allow that to happen. It was like the biggest open and shut case I've seen in a while, and he just skates by. Why? Because of his reach and money. I bet you this guy couldn't, like, I don't know. Maybe he was stressed out from the length of this thing. Who knows? And he's not the one that totally makes the decision. It's not like he can just settle. It's not a settlement. This is criminal. Criminal is where the DA, everyone has to come to an agreement on something, but they will take into account, like Tony said, the guy's wishes. You know, like if the guy's like, look, I want this done and over, you know, and I'm going to go after him in civil. I don't know. We don't even know the details as to why this broke down the way it went down. But this is, he's skating away from this thing. Just a cakewalk exit for Alvin Kamara. Like we pretty much all, even the people that were against drafting him, kind of knew this was probably going to happen. The way the NFL is, the way the legal system is, especially when it relates to players, a lot of reason because of access and the ability to outshine somebody in court. But now it's just like, does he go? If he goes into 5, is he worth the risk? Ron's not taking him. Bruce, would you take him at 5.5?
No.
Would you take him at 6.5?
No, I wouldn't.
Would you take him right where Swift is going? That seems like a very comparable like value. I think 6.5 would be, if you're an Alvin Kamara believer at all, I could see you liking that value. 5.5, that's where you could sometimes get a Jahan Dotson. You can get a London if you're drafting with grandmas. So I agree. Fields goes in 5. I'm not taking him in 5. If I've got to take, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to smile based on all of the shares I have in all my best ball drafts, and I might wash my hands of the situation and just say, I'm out. I'm out. Peace out. Deuces. I've got them in hundreds of leagues, and that's enough for me. I don't need to bury a redraft league or a bunch of other best ball drafts if it doesn't work out by now paying cost. I was paying a discount. So if he climbs into round 5, I don't know. Maybe in a couple drafts I could see myself, like, depending on the players that fall, and Fields is gone somehow, and you know, but Pacheco's more attractive than Kamara. To me, Swift would be in the same territory because you've got a lot of injury risk and all that tied with the suspension and the down. So he feels like Swift territory for me. That's where I feel like Kamara is probably lingering. So round 6 feels right for me. Round 5 is probably at least where he climbs, though. So maybe you see Smitty saying stay away from him going forward. It depends where his ADP falls. It really does.
Now, if we find out, here's another question I have. If we find out he has a half a game or half season suspension, would you take him or Javonte?
Javonte, but I don't think he's gonna get a half season. Like, he would have got a half season suspension on a criminal charge. You know what I mean? So yeah. I think it's one to, like, the letter of the law. I'm trying to see if I can get Tony the attorney on the letter of the law on this one. Call in if watching. I'll just put that to Tony. See if Tony wants to dial in. To the letter of the law, this is a very minor suspension. But as I read earlier from the NFL policy, this is from the NFL policy, avoiding, it's not enough to simply avoid being found guilty of a crime. We are all held to a higher standard and must conduct ourselves in a way that is responsible, promotes the values of the NFL, and is lawful. So you don't have to be convicted of a criminal, felony to face league discipline. But to the letter of the law, the precedent here to a minor misdemeanor, breach of the peace. This wasn't even bodily harm. The disrespect to this victim, to not even have like a plea, a misdemeanor plea that references violence to this guy, like maybe the conspiracy to commit. That was what was originally going to be charged against Kamara. There was a felony battery, and there was a misdemeanor conspiracy to commit battery against somebody. A conspiracy, meaning that you're planning on it, but you didn't necessarily do it. You're not going to admit to doing it, but you're going to admit that there was conspiracy involved. He didn't even get that. This victim didn't even get the ability to say, this guy got convicted of something relating to beating me down. No, it was breach of the peace. It had to do with other people. It was peace. Peace is the one that won this round, not the victim. The victim didn't even get mentioned in Kamara's plea. It was about disrupting the air around us, which is absolutely asinine, and it just goes to show that another one escapes the legal system that is a famous person. And now, people are going to say this till the end of time, that you're a celebrity, you're going to slip away.
That's not totally true.
Why is that, Ron?
Because and you can go research it, people, if you want to. But like I said earlier, violence on the Strip has been up, and the cops aren't doing anything. Metro's not doing anything about it. They've been told. I mean, they're selling beer out of coolers. They could be selling it to minors. They don't do anything about it. They just stand by and watch. Violence, they're not taking care of. It's getting really, really bad. People are blogging about this, how bad it's getting in the Vegas Strip, the violence. And they're not doing anything about it. And so it's not really a surprise that they're not doing anything with this Kamara thing in court in Vegas, in the area, because they're not strict on violence. They are not. That
could be part of the equation, but I think if this was a regular person, it wouldn't be in the news. So the person that was involved would be in trouble. The person involved would be facing.
Really? How is this early?
It's still high profile. I mean, look, the news came out, and Adam Schefter, Ian Rappaport, ESPN are posting on it. So it's in the news. It's not being covered fairly. It's not being covered fairly, Ron, but it's...
You think these casinos don't get together and they pay off whatever they need to pay off? They put into place.
I understand that, but I'm saying it could be a component. It could be a component involved, but I'm just saying that this is high profile. Whereas if someone else was not, it wouldn't be on ESPN the moment that the news was announced and all that. So I'm saying that I don't think someone skates by because it's Vegas. I think the person gets in trouble massively for beating down another individual. But I agree there could be some sort of this is higher profile, brush it under the rug. Who the hell knows? Hold on one second, Ron. Let me go over to Axe. You're live, Axe. What's up?
What's going on, Smitty?
Yeah, what's up, pal?
How y'all doing, Ron? Right, good. I understand about the Alvin Kamara situation, and I'm all about what's right. Me too, But me personally, if he available in the 6th, 7th round, I'm taking it, But I would also handcuff him with Jamal Williams, just in case so anything do happen.
Not Kendre. You like Jamal? You like Jamal better than Kendre? And it's okay if you do. I mean, there's a reason he had 17 touchdowns.
I would kind of handcuff him just in case if he would get suspended, I would have some type of backup, But I mean, I'm not really high on him. But if he available and he just fit not bad, I would take him,
Yeah. I think if you nail the backup and cuff right, it could be a true winner for you. But at the same time, now's not the time to draft him. Now's not he's climbing up from 8th round territory now to maybe 5. Now it's like, I mean, I guess you could ask yourself if he could produce like a 3 to 4 round guy or a 3 round guy, then yeah, it's going to still be worth it for you. But I don't know. It all depends on who, it all depends on who's there though. Go ahead.
You think the quarterback situation going to help him out?
Yeah, of course I do. I think the Derek Carr spreading the offense out is going to put Kamara in a much better position to bounce back. But Kamara's still a risk. He's still got, risk involved. That's why I say in round 5, I'd rather take Fields. I'd rather take, London Falls in your grandma league in round 5. Pacheco is more attractive than Kamara, in my opinion. And he goes in 6, so it just depends. Dotson I like more. It really just depends on who's available. I think once you get into round 4, I can tell you with certainty that there's too many guys I like better than Alvin Kamara. If we assume, let's say we are told he gets 1 game suspension. Let's just say that that's the assumption. I still have players in round 4 all over the place that I like more than Kamara. Because, maybe he did drop off. Maybe he's not the same guy because we don't have like a certainty on the abilities, front. So
not Smitty. Let me ask you something. In person, see, I'm from Louisiana, and I know guys around here, they high on people like Kamara. So he gonna be going early, like do people from your area, like Pittsburgh, wherever you're from, Arizona, do they take those guys early?
Always. You talk to a Cincinnati Bengal resident or someone that lives anywhere near the territory, Joe Burrow goes like in round 1 or 2. So yeah, that's totally common. But you know what? Those are a lot of I would say, no offense, but a lot of I don't know. They're not shark leagues though, because like a shark league, there's no loyalty to your team. If you're playing in a true shark league, but you're playing in a team where or in a league where you've got that guy that always takes that quarterback in the top 5, and you're like, bro, quarterbacks don't go till round 2. Like that kind of league, yeah, Burrow's going at the very, very top. But yeah, so Kamara, I can see Kamara going a little higher, but I think in general, yeah, a little area can definitely sway. All right, let's get real quickly, Axe. Let me go back over to Ron. Yeah, I mean, Ron, I agree. Sorry, I wanted to get to Axe real quick before we hung up. He'd been on hold. I agree with you, Ron. I do think that there's definitely some corruption going on that's assisting in this, like, you'd almost say cover up. Someone's like a cover. Oh my God, cover up. I feel like it's assisting in it for sure. I'm just saying that I think Kamara wouldn't have skated by as much, is what I'm trying to say, if he was a normal citizen. And that's what sucks about this. But I do agree, like, you can't even go on the back side of the MGM. Like, you go back there, you're as good as gone. Your wallet's gone, everything's gone. Like, you gotta, Vegas is very, very dangerous. And there's people like robbing you left and right, like, too. They'll walk up to you, they'll take your wallet, someone will bump into you. You gotta really be buttoned up when you're down there in Vegas. Vegas is crazy. But if you walk around inside the casino, they got cameras everywhere and they're on top of it. But
they do, but they get people walking into casinos, shooting people, stabbing people. I mean, that's happening. But yet they're not mentioning the casinos where it's happening at, which is MGM and a few high-profile ones, because they keep the casinos' names out of the news because it's bad for business.
Yeah.
And that's unfortunate. But here's the thing. In reality, what all that stuff is what it is. But let's talk about Alvin Kamara as a player himself. All right, last year, 4 total touchdowns. It was bad. He hasn't had winner league numbers in going on 3 years now. Yeah, his fantasy points have been in the 200s, vice the upper 300s where he was before. He's going to be turning 28 years old on the 25th of July this month.
Yeah.
So he hit that running back dead zone right there. And we saw him fall. If last year was indication because he played the whole year, right? He could have hit that thing a year early, right?
He definitely could have, which is why I'm out. Which is why I'm out. Yeah, which is why I'm out if he climbs to like the 4 or 5 territory.
As far as his playing ability and all, there's players where he even goes now that I like a lot better that have more upside than Alvin Kamara walking off the cliff, hitting the wall.
The positive,
which I feel he probably has.
The positive news for him is that he did end the season pretty strong against Philly and Carolina. He had 73 yards. Not that was a crazy amount, but 4.5 a pop. And then in Carolina, he had 4.65 yards per carry, 107 yards. The 2 weeks prior to that, he had 34 yards receiving. Like, he kind of got back on a positive stretch there at the end. And in 2 weeks, so 4 weeks before the end of the season, he had 91 yards. So 91, 76, 73, 107. He did get back to he got back to 21 carries, 20 carries, 16 carries, 23. The problem with this production, and I agree with you to an extent, Ron, which is why I don't draft a lot of older running backs at all. And Kamara had all that risk baked in earlier. He had all of that risk baked in. You got him in round 9, round 8. That built in that he's 28 years old. That risk, it built in his suspension, which I didn't believe would be long at all. And so all that was packaged in. Now Kamara, if he climbs to 4 and 5, as I said, I think I'm out. I think I'm washing my hands of this victory, in my opinion, and saying that if he does deliver anything close to remotely elite numbers, I've got him in 8, 9, earliest 7, in hundreds and hundreds of best ball drafts. If he climbs to 5, like I said, London, Fields, even Pacheco, who goes in like 6, they're all better options than Kamara. So I agree with you on that. But I will say that he did finish the season very strong, and that's why I'm hopeful about the shares that I already have. Or if he only climbed to, let's say, round 6 value, I would take some stabs. Not in every league. You won't see me drafting Kamara in every single league in the 6th round anymore. I don't think. We'll have to see when I get there. But I don't think I will because there is the risk of being 28. There is the risk of where's his mind at? Why did they cut his carries back and receptions last year? But again, he finished the year with 21, 20, 16, 23 carries. The weeks prior, it was like 12, 7, 12, 8, 9. He literally just wasn't getting fed. It wasn't really his fault that he wasn't producing.
If you look at his rushing and receiving yards, they weren't far off what they always are. But we're used to Kamara getting double-digit touchdowns along with that between running and catching. And he got 4 total touchdowns. He got 2 running and 2 catching last year. He didn't do that much better the year before.
Yeah, but the offense was pretty bad though, Ron. So like you got to factor that into a little bit and say, and I'm agreeing with you for the most part, but I'm just saying that like Kamara's situation has changed drastically. He's got Derek Carr stretching the field, which now means that defenses aren't crowding the line of scrimmage as much. Derek Carr could easily throw the football to him and turn him a little bit back into the Kamara of old if the ability's there. I don't know if the ability's there. I don't know if his ability to be a 17-game guy is there at 28 years old, which is why I loved him in round 9. But I don't know that we could draw too many conclusions about his touchdown production last year because the offense was awful. So.
Well, I mean, look, Olave was producing. He had the most yards caught, right? So he was getting the ball down the field, which should open up Kamara, right? It should have. The theory says, it says that he should have been opened up. So I don't care what quarterback's in there, other than like he had Jimmy G in there is a difference. But the quarterbacks that were in there could throw the ball down the field. They did that, and Kamara should have been.
No, but they weren't really throwing it down the field. Like if you remember, Olave was leading the league in air yards when Winston was in there. When Winston was out of the lineup, they were throwing short passes. They were down and throwing a ton, and Kamara wasn't getting used. So, like, I'm just trying to explain based on last year, during weeks 9 through 14, the bye week in week 14, he just wasn't used. When he was used in weeks 15 through 18, he was producing. You see all green categories, essentially. He only had the 1 touchdown, but I do attribute that to the offense not being anywhere near the red zone. And so it's 91 yards, 76 yards, 73 yards, 107. He was getting 21, 20, 16, and 23 carries in weeks 15, 16, and 17. So I get what you're saying, but it doesn't. He wasn't getting the ball. Like they were, regardless of whether they were moving the ball a little bit with Olave, and Olave was doing well, they weren't giving him carries. So when he got carries, you can see his numbers were actually rather decent, yardage wise. But the touchdowns, again, they weren't near the red zone. 23 carries for 103 in week 5, 19 carries for 99 in week number 6, 11 for 49, limited touches, but still did very well. 18 for 62 and a touch. If you take the games where he was fed the ball, he actually had a very decent year, just less touchdowns, but still very good year. It comes down to usage. It comes down to why in the hell didn't they give him the ball in weeks 9 through 14? Like, what was going on there? I don't know. And that's part of the moving parts we can't see, and we have to just kind of like, there's guesswork going on. But I think at the right value, it's you can bake in some of the risk. Right now, I don't know that there's ability to know if we're going to have enough baked in risk at all. And we got Scared Scott calling in real quick. Scared Scott, are you petrified right now? What's going on?
No, actually, I'm not scared today.
Wow.
Because I just finished up a draft about a week and a half ago, where I got Bijan in the first, and I loaded up a quarterback, 4 incredible receivers. And
speed it up, Scott. No offense, but no one cares about your draft.
Then I waited on my running back with the idea that my number 2. I wait on it. Got Kamara. Then got Green in the next round, and then I went Charbonnet, Bigsby, Roshan Johnson, Brown, figuring that as the last 3 or 4 years has shown that there's 3 or 4 rookie running backs that break out, and figured that I was hoping.
Okay, Scott, spit it out. Scott, what are we talking about here? This is why you got a 5-minute timer.
I'm happy because I'm with hero running back. It didn't take the second one until I got Kamara.
Amazing. Scott, to the moon. Don't be scared. To the moon. All right, Scott, hang tight. Real quickly, I want to address this comment that's been on screen for a little while. I don't know. We've never seen this. This is the suit and tie guy. Bijan has done 0 in the NFL, therefore does not deserve the title of running back 1 yet. Get Bijan a coffee. You let me decide whether Bijan's running back 1. Yeah. So, Scott, where would you take him? Where's the highest you would take him? Around 6?
I still don't feel great about him, not with the addition of Miller. Now, I don't think Miller takes from him. I think it'll take from when Kamara's, whenever suspension.
So, Scott, where would you take him? What round?
Maybe 6 right now.
Okay.
I'd be real leery in the 5th.
Yeah, I think, guys, if I had to give you a no-go zone, let me go.
Still in the 6th redraft, able to grab like Madison, Akers, Swift.
Let me give you guys a no-go zone and a go zone. I would say Kamara in round 6, and if this news kicks him up into 5, you stay away. These are the no-go zones. You don't go near Kamara in any of these rounds. I mean, obviously the earlier rounds, but I think this is like the only place I'm willing to go near him is 6, 7, 8, which is not that far off from what his old value is, which is why I don't think I'm going to own him much moving forward. You can't. You got Dotson and Fields and sometimes London, and there's other players too. Like even Kadarius Toney, I like more than Kamara. If Kamara climbs up to Kadarius Toney's value, George Pickens is better than Alvin Kamara. Because
to me the green leaves are starting to show that he's going to that Hopkins is going to KC.
Why is that? Scared Scott.
Well, they came out last week said that they stayed in contact with him.
A lot of teams have.
In the other contracts, he's waiting. I think they're waiting. I think it looks pretty definitive that they're waiting to see what KC's offer is after they redo Chris Jones' contract.
Yeah, I don't. The honest truth is, no one knows where he's going. It's still very quiet. The market's so bad for Hopkins right now. It's crazy. Tennessee is what I'm hearing is Tennessee is still very much the slight lead dog. Dalvin Cook, I'm still hearing Miami, even though he rejected Miami's offer, they're still, it appears to be the team that wants him most, and potentially he's trying to just get a better offer from them. So Miami's the slight lead dog for Miami despite the rejected offer. I don't think he's going to New York. I think New York, there's even a report today. It said Michael Carter, The Athletic is reporting, of course, it's The Athletic, that Michael Carter is beginning the season as the Jets' number 2 running back. Carter is in a three-way battle with Zonovan Knight and Abanikanda.
Doesn't the Cook to the Jets, just the rumors, the contact, and Cook to the Broncos, the rumors and the little contact, doesn't that kind of put a little hesitation on drafting the 2 running backs from there?
You talking about Breece? Are you talking bad about Breece Hall right now? Are you talking bad about Breece Hall right now?
Well, I'm not talking bad, but doesn't the whole talk of Cook going?
Call terminated.
We'll have no Breece Hall slander on this show. All right, gentlemen, I'm going to go eat my food that I bought and it's been sitting in the kitchen. I don't know if this is. Hold on one second. Let me see if this is. Hold on one second. Let me get this call. You're live from the fantasy football show. Who's this? This is Antonio. Who?
Oh, Glover.
Oh, what's up, Glover? We're going to call you Glover.
Hey. Oh, yeah, Glover works, yeah.
What's up, Glover?
I was just calling. I've been watching your show for a very long time. I just wanted to get some fantasy advice. I just made a trade for Tyreek Hill. I kind of overspent on it. The funny part was I traded away. I'm the leader of the league. I know you don't care about all that, but I had some issues where people were mad about the lead and like how I make trades. Everybody was making trades with me because I know everybody. But long story short, everyone doesn't know everybody in the league. But I traded Tyreek Hill and a first. I'm sorry, I traded Chris Olave and a first for Tyreek Hill. I know it's not the best of trades to make, but I'm trying to flip Tyreek Hill. I don't know if you want to get into the discussion of what players I have.
So this is a dynasty, obviously, because there's a first rounder. It's pure dynasty.
Yeah. Just pure dynasty.
Yeah, I mean, bro, I'd quietly. I mean, if you could get away with getting more in some sort of trade, obviously I would. But quietly, I like Olave more than Tyreek Hill because Tyreek Hill is, he's a speed guy, and the hamstring issues eventually are going to crop up. And I don't know how much longer he has. He probably has, if you're lucky, 2 years. And I don't even know if I'll be at 1 year at a time mode after this year with him. But, I wouldn't have done that, especially giving up the first. I don't know what you could flip Tyreek for. I don't know that people are going to buy him like you did, because they're going to look at him and say, this is a wide receiver that has a lot of, upside for 1 year, maybe 2. But people in dynasty mode are thinking so much further ahead than that. He's 29 years old, bro. He's turning 30 years old before the season starts next year. He turns 30 years old in March. So
yeah, no. The crazy part is, I'm sorry to cut you off. I know the kid before me. It's not like people that are really crazy smart in the league. The one dude was going to trade JSN in a first for him, which was crazy. And so I've been trying to contact that kid. He also has Jalen Waddle, so I didn't know if he was trying to double it up. I was thinking maybe I could try to go Tyreek Hill in a second for next year for just Jalen Waddle.
See, I think you may be creeping back into maybe better long-term value, but Olave in a first is better than that. So, I mean, you might be trying to repair or whatever. Can you go in the direction of a Gibbs or a different position so you aren't just taking a bath on the trade?
You think I could? The dude that has Gibbs is a crazy Lions fan. I've been trying to just think of what player maybe I should try to shoot for with high value. Would you think it's smart?
I mean, let's take a look at the Moon Man list. Let's go recruiting.
The Moon Man. Do you want me to look at the teams and stuff?
So guys like Walker, Charbonnet, London. Can you go get London?
Space Moon says.
There was actually a trade that just happened in the league for London, which I thought was crazy. The dude traded London London, Elijah Moore, and I think it was Khalil Shakur for just Travis Kelce and Zach Ertz, which I thought was mind-boggling.
Shakur. Yeah. Whoever's got the background noise, can you mute yourself? I appreciate that. London was. That's okay. That was you. London was your move, bro. London was the move. Like Tyreek Hill back for London, but I don't. I mean, you're in a position now where I don't know. Can you win? Are you going to win this year? I mean, you could just ride it out with Tyreek and say, give me 2 years and that's it.
I can give you a quick. The dude that traded for Kelce has a crazy good team, so that's why I'm thinking of trying to get a player with splash but still age. Because I can tell you the team quickly. It's just Lamar Jackson. I have Dalvin Cook. I have Austin Eckler. I have DeAndre that I'm scared about where he's going to end up. I have I just drafted Jordan Addison. Then I have Tyreek Hill. I drafted Michael Mayer, but I have right now Gerald Everett, and then I believe I have Justin Tucker, and then I have Zay Jones in the spot right now. But it's a large flex. But I have Alexander Madison on my bench. Like I have all these players that could play starting roles at least.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I wouldn't take a bath on this trade just to get back, and don't put yourself in a worse position. I don't know. I mean, I like Waddle, but I don't know that. I feel like Waddle, like what happens with that quarterback room, and I don't know that I'm loving that situation more than I loved Olave. Olave was. Do
you think I try to reshoot maybe on the maybe try to go grab the JSN and maybe the first round pick?
No, I think you're just getting it. Look, Garrett Wilson, Jamar Chase. I know these aren't all attainable. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Chris Olave, Christian Watson, but a ton more. You can't just get the first rounder and Christian Watson. You got to. Devontae Smith is an interesting person to go after. Dotson, but you get a ton. Or you go cross position and you start looking at Kenneth Walker. You start looking at you said you can't do Gibbs. You start looking at potentially Tony Pollard and something if you need an RB. Eckler's getting older. You could either just go for the championship, bro, and just say I got Eckler and Tyreek Hill and I'm just going to keep smashing with these guys. And that's fine. I'm not against that, but I think trading out of that, not winning the championship and having a lesser trade is sometimes the worst option. Because I hate to see you not win and you're trading out and you're getting a worse situation than you had. I mean, just win with Tyreek. Maybe you could trade him mid-season. Let an offer come to you. Let Tyreek have some big, huge games, and then try and shop him. I think trying to shop him now with a little uncertainty with Tua is probably not the way to go. I don't think you're going to get what you want, sure. So I'd probably wait.
Yeah. Sorry. My last question probably was like, what do you think the ceiling is like for Jordan Addison? Like, I think he could be phenomenal. Like,
I mean, Ron and I see this very differently, but it doesn't mean I don't like Addison. I just don't like him as much as Ron. I think that with Hawkinson there, with JJ there, with KJ Osborne still there, I don't know that he can be an elite wide receiver too, like Ron might think he could be, but I think he's still very, very good, and he's going to get a lot of volume. It's just a matter of like, will the touchdowns be there? How will it all shape out? What will it? But if somebody goes down, JSN and Addison are both in prime positions, given that the offense is definitely going to feed so much more to them. If let's say Lockett got hurt, JSN to the moon, straight to the moon. If KJ even KJ Osborne gets hurt, that's going to help Addison a lot. But I think if something, God forbid, happened to like Hawkinson or JJ, then Addison would just flourish, So because he's good, there is some concern about his size. I'm not too concerned about that, but you'll hear a lot of people talk about that. Same thing with Flowers, though. Same thing with Tank Dell. So like you can't be critical of one and not be critical of the others. They're all smaller type guys. But Addison, Addison thrived 2 years ago in college. He didn't have the best year after he transferred, but he showed that previous year he could be an absolute ball hog, But I just don't know he's going to be in that situation as much as Ron does. But I do like him. Like if something happens, like I said, Addison could completely explode. But there is that, for me, there is that something needs to happen for him to be an elite wide receiver 2. I think he's a fantastic wide receiver 3. I do draft him. I draft him quite a bit when he falls, but sometimes people take him too high, and I can't take him in the. I'd rather have Dotson. I'd rather have Kadarius Toney, even with the risk. I'd rather have George Pickens. If he falls to that territory after those guys, then I scoop him up all the time. But he rarely does fall to that territory right now. But I like him a lot. There's just and from a dynasty perspective, it's. The concern I have, the greater concern I have, is more so what happens at quarterback. Who's throwing the football in Minnesota, 2 years from now? Because they've been talking about whether they've done it or not. They've been disrespecting Cousins more than I do by entertaining, how do we move up and potentially get Anthony Richardson? Do we even want to bring Cousins back? So, I don't know that he's going to be there in 2 years. So I just, without knowing that, with Hawkinson, with JJ, with Addison, with KJ Osborne, with Madison, with all those mouths to feed, without knowing, Cousins, as much as Ron thinks I hate him, Cousins is very good for this offense. And if he's not there, I don't know what happens. And I don't want to know. I think if they sign Cousins to an extension, that would be the best thing that could happen to everybody involved there, because you at least know what you're probably going to get. But there are a lot of people that think that this situation could change a year or next year or the next year after that. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. But, hey, I appreciate you. I got to get to food, Glover. Appreciate you, my man.
Yeah, I imagine.
All right, I'll see you later today.
You sound like scared Scott there, Smitty, when you talk about the Vikings.
No.
For one thing,
I sound realistic.
I'm worried about Osborne. Osborne is like Boyd. Osborne is a third wide receiver. He's like Boyd. Addison's a valid number 2, high-end number 2. He's going to be the best rookie wide receiver this year, in my opinion, out of all of them. And I have no doubt in Cousins. I have no doubt in Addison.
We know you don't. We know you don't. We know you love him.
That's my take.
We know you love him. And I appreciate that, Ron. You love you keep doing you, and I don't mind that at all. Brucey, you got any final thoughts?
No, like I'm saying, I'm just hoping, even though it's not good for fantasy, I'm hoping that what he did that is illegal, he gets more games than Jamison Williams, which technically should be legal.
Hey, is this a sign right here? Do you guys think, because is this like a Roman numeral 3 on his neck here? This tattoo? Does maybe Alvin Kamara get 3 games like the tattoo on his neck? Anybody predicting that?
I hope not. I hope not. I hope he gets more.
It's scripted out. The whole thing's scripted. It's right on his neck. It's right under our nose. It's right under our nose. How many games he's going to get is tattooed on his neck. It couldn't be more clear, but we're so blinded by the script, we don't even see it coming.
And if he falls into the category with Swift, are you taking Swift over him, or are you taking Kamara?
I think they're in the very, very same boat. For different reasons, but the risk feels very weighted. It's weighted the same. I'd probably say, give me. God, that's a tough one. Brucey, let me think on that one. I think I'd split it.
All right.
I think I'd split it. But again, that is 6 to 7 round territory. That is not round 5. I don't take him in round 5. I don't take him in round 5. There are too many good players, too many great players. Fields is a great player. If Fields is on the clock, I don't care if I already have a quarterback and I'm in a best ball draft. I'm taking Fields in 5 as my second best ball quarterback in a 1 QB format with optimal scoring that can take advantage of that, rotating in and out versus drafting Kamara in 5. But Kamara in 6, 7, which I don't think he stays there. I think he truly does climb higher than that. I think he climbs into 4, 5. I think people are gonna, like I said, deflating a balloon and inflating a balloon are 2 different things. They have different reactions, and the human mind is weird, and people are reactive, people are fickle, and I don't mean that in a negative way. I just mean we're a crazy species, man, and the way our minds work, and the way like a Zeke Elliott going back to Dallas would affect Tony Pollard is different than if Tony Pollard and Zeke Elliott were still on the team and Zeke never left. If Zeke never left, you would feel differently about Pollard than you would if he went away and came back. And so, I don't know, bro. Kamara to me is now entering risk territory, whereas before it was all baked in. It was all baked in. So my conclusion here for anybody that's joining late is Alvin Kamara pled no contest. Let me pull this news up here so you guys can check it all out. Alvin Kamara pled no contest to the lesser charge of breach of peace, and he's going to do a community service, $100,000 to medical and community service, and the dude's gonna skate essentially from the situation. Now the NFL could still act because the NFL, as the policy states, holds players to a higher standard, and it's not enough to simply avoid being found guilty of a crime. But we're certainly watching the NFL drag their feet on this all offseason. So if anybody thinks they're just going to come down with a 6-game suspension, I think that's not going to happen. But you never know. Anything can happen. This is the NFL. They're unpredictable, like Tony says, like I've said, like everyone's kind of said here that's been a guest on it, that's had a legal perspective. They're heavy-handed one minute. They're not heavy-handed the next. There's no rhyme or reason to it. They'll be heavy-handed with Ridley and all these suspensions. And Jameson Williams not even gambling on the NFL. He was gambling on college softball, let's say. And because he did it with a foot on the property, they're taking they're taking the hammer and slamming it down on Jameson Williams and other players. When the set crime or the punishment does not fit the crime, and they've mapped that out in advance. It's on Jameson. Jameson knew better, but the fact that they set aside a 6-game suspension for that violation, and it was predetermined, but then they don't do anything in this case, and on the optics and the fact that he did plead no contest, which is not pleading guilty, but it is a form that the NFL views as a potential negative form of not admission, but in the realm of that, the NFL is probably not going to give him close to what Jameson Williams is going to get, which is just crazy. Josh Gordon got abused by the NFL for years with suspensions and things that were not warranted to the degree he received them. NFL is very, very weird, and it's distasteful sometimes. What, Ron?
Here's the thing about the NFL, and it really is kind of funny, but it's not just the NFL. It's kind of, they gave a new meaning of what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, because not only Kamara getting off. Remember, Adam pushed that camera guy last year after the game because he was disgusted, and those charges were dropped. And so they're both getting away with all of it. But the NFL don't care. They care about players that gamble, and if it's violence against a woman, then they're gonna push it, because the backlash that they'll get from the women who watch the NFL and other organizations. They will cause the NFL, a lot of pain and
it's all about money. It's all about money.
Unlike us guys, right? If it's a male on male, we don't care. We don't push the issue. We're not the ones going out to the NFL making a big fuss at the NFL because Kamara beat up some dude. But if Kamara beat up a woman, if any of them beat up women or have anything to do with them, you know that the women are out there. They stand together and they stand united, and they won't let up. But we're kind of like, as guys, we're pussies because we don't do that. We don't stand together and we don't fight for the right justices. And the NFL knows that, so they're not going to do nothing about it. That's the bottom line.
All right, go to eat my food. Appreciate you both. Bruce, did you want to give some last thoughts there? And then I'm going to hang up on you both at the same time. Go ahead, Bruce.
Just that Kamara deserves more than Jameson, and that he's
I appreciate you, Brucey. Later, Ron. I'll see you guys at 7 p.m. All right, so Thomas and Just Sherman and Young, are you still here? I apologize for the delay on these with all the news. Appreciate the work, Smitty. Just found out I'm going to the MLB All-Star Game. Go Mariners, go Hawks. Thomas, to the moon. Thomas, my guy. Thomas.
To the moon.
Are you still here? Thomas, please shout out yourself if you're still here. Rock out. Thank you for your when you going live comment. Young says the NFL is the new Italian mafia. Kamara. Yeah, bro. Young, are you still here? Appreciate you. Just Sherman, someone took Kamara at 58 already. Gonna climb fast, says Just Sherman. 58 overall, that's crazy. Just Sherman, are you still here? I want to make sure you guys heard the response because I want to take care of you. And it it's definitely my goal to deliver on your super chat request and question. So please let me know if you're still here. Thomas, Young, and Just Sherman. All right, guys, that's going to be it for today. Pre 7 p.m. show anyway. Unless news breaks. And there might be some news we got to talk about. We'll talk about it with at the 7 p.m. show. There's some other news out there floating around. Let me briefly tell you guys about it. Let's see if I can pull it up on screen. There's a lot of Alvin Kamara news. A lot of the Alvin Kamara news. Alvin Kamara pleaded no contest, lesser misdemeanor charge. Nobody's got any more information than we have right now on it. And so more news to come at 7 p.m. Where's Young? Young, you still here? All right, I'll see you all later. Appreciate you. 7 p.m. Here we come. We'll be back.
A top 5 wide receiver hides among the people. His cost of entry is near illegal. Few see him coming. Many stay away. His name is Chris Olave.